Hey, thanks for tuning in to the first episode of the first video from Clear Craft Studios. It's great to be with you all. We are going to start off with a project that I actually have not done before. Some of the things that I'll show you along this journey, you'll notice that I've gotten the hang of, perhaps. This is actually my first time working with this mold, and it's actually a mold that is supposed to serve as a little serving tray or a little decorative tray. So we're going to take a look at this, and hopefully it comes out well. So it's a two-part mold. It comes with, of course, the actual tray and the handles. As you know, if you've worked with resin or if you've seen other videos, which there are a lot of on YouTube, a lot of really good things floating around. You'll know that resin, epoxy resin, doesn't take a couple hours to cure, to harden. So this is going to be a multiple day project. As I'm going to start off in these videos, I want to have a little treat, mold, if you will, a little treat to add to this design, to this video rather. So we are going to do a heart-shaped box. So I'm going to put that aside. And typically, what I like to do is I don't like to throw extra resin away, so we'll just conserve that, make a nice little project. So this is a bonus project, if you will, on the side of our main one. The three main colors we're going to be using with mica powder is this silver white powder. We are going to use carbon black, and we are going to use royal gold satin. So those are our three colors. Now I'm going to mention my intention of this project, and as many of you know, one thing is the intention, the other thing is how it actually turns out. So this is just going to be an interesting little journey, at least with this project that we'll take. Since I've never worked with it, we're going to see how it turns out. My goal is to have some of this area black. We'll have some gold in the middle, and then we'll have some of that silver white on this side. Then I'll let that cure, so just a thin layer. And then we'll go ahead and add a clear coat on top so that I can harden this, or these handles once they're done could harden. These handles will be in gold, just because gold is hopefully going to be the accent color as well as the color that I'm using in the center. And then we'll use whatever is left over, probably more of that gold on this heart box, to see how that looks. But let's go ahead and get started. So some of the materials I'm going to be using is stirring by hand can be a very long process or can be a very boring process. I want to keep this interesting not only for myself but also for you that view. So one of the things that I have begun using is this Bee Glick automatic stir. Has a clockwise and a counterclockwise function to it. We'll use some of these silicone stir sticks and then some of these silicone measuring cups that I really like. I actually just got these because if you're doing more smaller projects that have more little intricate holes, pockets in them, these are really helpful. Also, as you know, resin can harden and be taken off of this silicone material a lot easier than plastic. The resin we are using today is going to be the Kisserel epoxy resin. And let's go ahead and get started. So first and foremost, I'm going to mix in let's do a third of an ounce with the A, the A mixture. This is a 1-to-1 ratio resin. One of the things that you'll notice is when I do this, as this will be evident, I don't typically use the camera. I don't do this on camera. So I'll be reminding myself multiple times to put it back in the view of the camera. So let's just do 1/3. Again, this is a 1-to-1 ratio resin. That is 1/3 right there. Good rule of thumb is always have a little towel on the side just so you can clean up as you go. We may need more resin later on, and that's fine. It's always easier to add more than it is to discard, or I know I mentioned I have an extra project, but You also don't want to have too much resin on the side. It can just be very wasteful. And now we'll do the 2/3 portion. I'm actually pretty excited to use these silicone measuring cups because it was a lot more cleaning using the plastic ones, trying to clean the resin off so that it didn't harden by the time that I had a new project, especially working with things like the mica powder or the glitter that can just be more work than we need. I'm going to go ahead and put this stirring machine on, and we are going to have it at the lowest setting at 50, and we're just going to stir clockwise for a few minutes. So when stirring, it's important to stir for anywhere between 2 and 4 minutes. I found that the middle mark, the 3 minutes, is um, gives me more peace of mind, more security that the resin actually mixed. You'll notice when I start mixing, there's going to it'll have the appearance of little lines. That's going to tell you more or less that the resin is still not mixed in together. Once those lines disappear, then you'll be ready. So I'm going to speed this part up or just take it out altogether, and I'll see you all in a bit when it's good. All right, so we are back, and it's been about 3 minutes. We're going to go ahead and turn off our mixer. And again, I like to keep everything clean as I go, clean as I think that's a very important. I'm going to actually clean this with one of these wipes, wet wipes. They are actually, I think they're sanitizing wipes. The reason I'm doing that is because this kind of material, this is plastic, and I don't want to have to replace these every time I need a new every time I mix. So to keep them useful for a long period of time, to keep my materials clean and useful, I'm just going to go ahead and clean that off. I'll dry it off with the little paper towel that I've been using here in this little workstation. And we're going to go ahead and let this sit for a few minutes. While that sits, I'm just going to put this aside. And we're going to start mixing or putting in our mica powder. Now, for some people, they'll put the resin in and then the powder. I'm just going to work a little differently this time around. We'll see what ways work. One of the things I think is important to mention is I'm new to this resin making process, and it's been really enjoyable. I've actually have been able to start, as you know, with Clearcraft, with the name Clearcraft Studio. I've been able to start a little side business, if you will, with making commission projects for individuals, selling these different projects, gifting projects, and it really helps to just add an extra hobby, but also to tap into that creative side, not only of me, but of the things I like to do. So we're going to mix these three first. Now, because with this mold, it's not going to be, we're not going to uncover it and then the bottom be the top when we uncover it. This is going to be the top. So we want to make sure that the color is strong and vibrant and doesn't seep through. Again, we're going to have the color first, let that sit for anywhere between 12 to 24 hours just to be completely safe. I've had some interesting little mishaps as I've done these projects. And that's all right. We learn as we go, and that's what I'll do here is learning as I go. So if you have any recommendations, don't hesitate to comment. I think it'll be good to learn from a lot of you that have done this for a long time, or a lot of you that have done your research with this. Again, I'm going to put a more more concentrated, or yeah, more generous amount, as I was trying to look for in there, of the gold. Put that aside for now. I cleaned off the spoon a little so that the mica powder doesn't seep in. This is my first time using this carbon black, so I have no idea how it's going to turn out. And I'll clean that up. As you saw, there's some that seeped into the mold. We definitely do not want that to happen, just because this mica powder tends to be very strong and will keep its composure in that different one. Now, just make sure to clean this off as well. And then we will do a definitely do quite a bit of this silver white color. A lot more of this silver white than of any other one, just because I'm feeling that this one's going to be more transparent if I don't do that. And I want that strong white color because what I'm going to do eventually is with my Cricut Joy, I'm going to do print out a small little inspirational quote or a little inspirational saying to go along with it. So I'm pretty comfortable with the amount that this has set. I'm going to go ahead and pour in, um, try to do equal amounts of each. If I don't, that's all right. I'm liking these a lot more, these plastic ones, and I'm sure this plastic stir stick is going to be the same because it's the same case difficult to clean off the wooden one. So now all we do is we just mix this mica powder into the resin. All right, so that's that. Cleaning process for this is going to be a lot easier. I don't want to set this down on my working table with it being still dripping this resin. So I'm going to get a quick little towel. I have my little towel bench off camera. I'm just going to get a quick towel and just clean this off. Prior to using these, I would have to use those alcohol wipes on almost everything, and it was just very wasteful on my part. But I'm glad that I was able to find these from Let's Resin. These are from Let's Resin. I got them on Amazon. Pretty easy to search up. If you just look up silicone stir sticks for resin, type in those keywords, and I'm sure you'll find them pretty easily. So let's go ahead and take this resin off. And what we are going to do first is we're going to go ahead and just start with the gold line. I think I want the gold line from here to about here. That way, when I put in the black and the white, it doesn't too much of a rift, and it's not going to be much of a thickness to it because again, we're having that clear coat. I'm going to go ahead and get the white, and for this part, I'm just going to do a bit of a zigzag here, and then I'll go ahead and go through again. I do want to make sure I just add the white across here because I know it's going to start mixing with each other. Once we do that zigzag, it may go without being said, but just for the sake of ensuring that things are done correctly and that there's not much of a mess up here, you want to make sure that you are on leveled surfaces because this resin is going to level with your surface. So if your surface is not leveled, your resin is going to be unleveled. I've even seen some people use a little circular leveling tools. That's pretty helpful. I don't have that with me, and that's all right because. And now what we're gonna do is we are just gonna go through and Make sure that all these little spaces are filled. Just covering up there. Okay, that's looking good. Now, what I'm gonna do is the part I'm kind of scared for is I'm just gonna zigzag here. And you probably are looking at this saying, oh, well, there goes your project. Thanks. Introducing some of that twirling motion in there. And what I'm going to do next is this part was actually pretty scary for me to do because I have a plastic protector on my workstation and the heat gun that I'm going to use it on a very low setting. The heat gun, for those of you that don't know, the heat gun is to make sure that the air bubbles, the air pockets are gone. What I was using before was one of those lighters with the long extenders to take off all the bubbles. That was helpful, but it was also not helpful because it was proving to be a bit difficult to do that with larger projects. So when I do the coasters, which I'm sure you've seen are very popular within the resin community, when I do the coasters, that's when it gets very when it's easier. Now with projects that are a little larger like this, the heat gun tends to work a little better. So we're gonna use this heat gun. You can see I've accidentally touched the cable. Didn't seep through, thankfully, but it did do that. So I'm gonna just turn it on for a few seconds. Have it on the low setting. All right, so we're just gonna stop there. You can see it's spread out a little bit. We're gonna let that do its thing right there. I am going to try to encourage the resin to move away from the edges. And we're just gonna leave that there. I'm going to very carefully, very, very carefully push this over because we're not gonna visit that. However it turns out, it's gonna turn out. Again, we're gonna try to have this self-leveling focus, and you can probably see here where the issue is. Just as I expected, it's this matte. So I'm gonna actually move this away from the camera to try to get it to a level surface. That way it doesn't completely ruin this project. So let's move it out of the way here. Actually in a better position there. All right, that's okay. It's all good. So next we're gonna try to mend this and we're gonna bring over our little tools here. Just cooling down, that's all right. This appears to be leveled. See, all I told you we're gonna learn as we go. All right, so for this one, I'm gonna try to pour first in where those little pegs are. And if you get any resin outside the mold, that's all right. So we're just gonna pour where these pegs are here. and then I'll show you all what we do after that. Perfect. I'm hoping pretty soon I get to do a chessboard with you all, checkerboard chessboard. But what I've noticed is you want to be careful because when it has pockets like this here, like this one, you just want to squeeze through, squeeze through, squeeze through because you want to make sure that it gets, I'm just squeezing it from the bottom. You want to make sure that every single space in these extra pockets is filled because that can end up being detrimental to your project, causing you more work time because you're going to have to fill in a lot of these different components that you could have just filled in the beginning. All right, so that is this. We're gonna let this, and then whatever is off camera on this side, we're gonna let that cure for the next 24 hours. But it's time to do our little bonus project. So here's our little heart box. I actually just bought this. Don't know how it works. Hopefully it works fine. So I'm gonna do a gold lid, at least to start with. I don't know if I'll have enough resin for a full gold lid. And I'm gonna do the same with this project. Is I'm gonna move it away from the center until we get a more stable base because I think the plastic was manipulated a little bit with the heat gun. So just move that to the side. I'm gonna come back and try to fill that with another color. Let's go ahead and fill this in. Let's see if we can just do both at the same time and hope for the best. All right, that looks decent. So this is probably gonna be the part where I mess up the project, and that's all right because it's a bonus project. So I'm gonna set this just slightly there. I'm gonna set this here. Trying to look around, and it looks like every little part is filled. I have to fill this with more gold, and this isn't nearly full to the top. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a bit more resin. We are going to leave that. I don't think this is gonna set quite as well, cure quite as well because it's not as filled as it probably should be. So I'm gonna make a bit more resin, and the rest we are just gonna pour this in our extra project here. I'm gonna try to move this like right in the middle. Move this back here with you. This is gonna be our first unmolding, demolding when it comes time to it. And our little bonus project, because we have too much resin left over, is going to be these very nice little dog tags. These name tags for dogs. So I'm gonna use these right here, and we'll see how they turn out. And this is what I mean. Hopefully we don't ruin it. We're just gonna go in zigzags here. Hope for the best. All right. We'll see you all in about 24 hours. Welcome back. It is day two. Now, this is the process that tests my patience the most because it requires us to wait for everything to cure, but that's all good. So, the first thing we're going to do is just unmold this, or demold, unmold, demold. These, they are ready to be taken out, but we are going to do it at the very end when we demold everything. So, we're going to start with this. The plan for this part for day two, it's going to be very simple. You can see here, I'll explain that in just a bit. These are the pegs that we're going to be able to carry this with. We'll put one on either side. Again, we have that gold accent. Cover everything with clear resin so it sets. Before all that, we're going to put our little stencil. So let's actually do that first. This is going to be a gift for a teacher. It's a quote by Malala Yousafzai. One book, one pen, one child, and one teacher can change the world. So I'm just going to put this very simply down here. Try to put it in a very ideal place here in the white. And the part that I don't like at all is making sure that the very detailed process of making sure everything sticks. Now that this is all done, we are going to go ahead and demold these. The first time I worked with these, they were the more difficult ones to work with because it tends to be a little difficult to take these out, especially if they're even a tad bendy. So we're just gonna, a little care and diligence, take these out. Now that they're out, we just want to try to encourage them to straighten up just a bit. You can kind of see them working here. Our stencil is looking nicely. Gold doesn't quite match, but that is okay. So now what we are going to do, very simple process, is position them in the place where we want them to go. Now, as you can tell, I already prepared the clear epoxy, so that's going to help us just a bit. And what we're going to do now is very carefully and from the middle so that it spreads outward, we are going to pour. I'm just going to make sure that all of this is the way I want it to be. Make sure these are all clean. Very good. So let's go ahead and start pouring here. And again, just like we did with this section, we're going to encourage it to go to the different sides, although very carefully. So I'm going to start in the middle and then go all the way around. Looking good. So now that we have this ready, I'm going to move this up a bit. For those of you that may have realized, we now have a silicone mat under us. I learned my lesson yesterday. Went on Amazon really briefly and got a silicone mat. All right, so now onto the part that scared me the most yesterday because of this mat, but now of course we have our silicone mat, so it's going to be okay for us. Thumbs up. Is our heat gun process to remove all of those bubbles. So again, starting in a low setting, we don't have to worry about colors moving around. You can kind of see here how it moved around. That's all good. So let's just go through it for a bit. So that is all set with that. Now you can probably see some smoke coming through. I turned on the higher setting, and I don't think that's going to ruin our project, although I can already see that the mat from the bottom is lifting. So that doesn't necessarily worry me right now. That's okay. All I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this from the bottom and just make sure it's sitting on the silicone. Now I'm going to be gone for another day, and then we'll come back tomorrow in 24 hours and demold our bonus, and of course, our main project. See you all soon. Welcome back. It is the third day here. And just to get this out of the way, what took the longest, as you all saw, is that there had to be the curing of multiple levels. I didn't want to put the stencil that I made with the Cricut before the first layer cured, because if I did that, then of course you would have some very interesting scenarios where I would peel off some resin and it wouldn't look, I think, as clean as it came out. I'm very satisfied actually with the look of it. I was noticing that from the back of the tray, you can see looks, I think, a little more ideal than what I would have expected it to. I was peeling a little bit, as you can see. I was testing my patience, but I haven't taken it out. I want to take that opportunity to do that with you all. So we are going to demold this one, and then we'll demold our bonus, and then our bonus of the bonus. So here we go. Let's see how it came out. Everything right off the bat. Again, this is my first time using this. I don't want to pull on this too much, although to be fully honest, I've been pulling at it throughout the day just to see how it's hardening. And it is actually looking really nice with the base being the solid colors and then the clear coating on the top. And of course, the clear is going to be, or has been, and is for this one, thicker than the bottom layer, and that's totally fine. So we'll start demolding. I'm not too concerned about how things came out on the bottom since we're not going to be placing it like this, although I guess that's an option. I'm noticing here, this is where you really want to pay attention to when you're mixing all of these components, especially the mica powder, that this mixed properly. So good lesson learned, something that I definitely will be paying attention to. I'm going to set these molds off to the side. You can see here this is where we have to, I think, also pay a little more attention to thankfully that this is going to be placed like so, and you can't really tell the air bubbles on the sides, but I think it came out great. And again, such an inspirational little quote that I really like, and I'm sure the person who will be receiving this is going to really like it too. Teaching is such a gift, and this just, I think, highlights it. One book, one pen, one child, one teacher can change the world. Again, Malala Yousafzai. So this is awesome. I'm actually really content with it, really content with how this turned out. I'm excited. This is really nice. Now we're going to go ahead and demold these. These have been the ones that have been ready now. If you're only doing one layer like this, or even if it was just a single layer with the bottom layer, it had to obviously be a little thicker. We could have demolded a day earlier, but because we did the extra layers, we didn't, which again was testing my patience with this. This is a little box, a little charm box, if you will. You can also, for this one in particular, can also use this as a set with this. So let's go ahead and take this out of its mold. Again, these are new molds, haven't used these before. So this is going to be the first time for me looking at it as well. And I'm really liking this combination of the mica powder that I did here. Really actually liking the mica powder in general. These colors of the mica powder. Wow, this is so awesome. Take a look at this. It's a little heart box. This is obviously the box right here. You can start seeing the separation of colors here. It's actually really cool. And there's some gold down here. You can't really see the gold. Again, I mentioned that in the early in the video. Our intention wasn't to have the gold seep through. Although it looks pretty nice, we just added a little extra because we had a little extra. Now it's this part. I wasn't sure if this was the part that was supposed to be filled or this, but as I looked at it a little closer, there's some accents around here that I think make this the lip that goes inside of the box. And wow, this is really nice. So take a look at just it's a little bit raised there. And just closes off here. There's our bonus. Wow, this is really nice. I'm really satisfied. And in fact, this set also looks really, really, really nice. Now we're gonna unmold, demold the bonuses. These I'm going to hold on to as well. Now, all of this will be available um, at a later time for purchase. Like I mentioned, this one is going to be a gift. But I'm going to post my email in the description. It is clearcraftstudio@gmail.com. If you are interested in a commission piece, just reach out to me through that email and I will share with you the many, many over hundreds of 100 colors that we have that we're able to do this. Any quote, any saying you want with the customized graphic. And of course, we'll throw in for free a little box here. But this is so awesome. This set just looks wonderful. My plan for these is going to be this was a bonus of a bonus. So the bonuses, we're not paying too much attention to, just trying to get rid of some extra resin. But hey, this matched wonderfully. So we're just gonna go with it. But these right here, what will happen, similar to our mold here, is we'll have any color you choose at the bottom. I will put a little stencil of the name of your pet, some information if you like, put some clear coat on top, and then you get a little keychain for your pet. So these are just some little awesome projects. I really hope you like this first video. Tune in every single Wednesday for a new video where we will not only have the main video, but also a bonus, and maybe, just maybe, we will throw in a bonus of bonus. It's great to be with all of you. I'll see you all soon. Take care and thanks for tuning in to Clear Craft Studio.